You ready? Let's do this. Okay. Welcome back, everyone, to the GROklahoma Podcast. This is your host, Dr. Mo, and today we're honored to have another guest on the show. She's a mom of two and a dedicated nurse instructor with a wealth of experience in postpartum care. She describes herself as an Oklahoma native. She also got her BSN from OCU in 2013, followed by her MSN from SWOSU in 2022. She's currently pursuing an executive leadership program at the Ohio State University, and she brings a unique perspective to her role, which is backed by 8 years of experience in postpartum care and 4 years of educating future nurses. She is particularly interested in advocating for self and others, as well as promoting inclusivity. So today we'll be delving into her experiences and insights as a nurse instructor, exploring her cultural perspectives, and learning about her focus on personal development and inclusivity. Please join me in welcoming Darbi Crist to the podcast. Hi, Darbi.
Hey. Oh, that was so nice. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you so much for coming. I remember the first time I met you and we got talking and I accurately guessed your country, like your country of origin. It was a very proud moment for me. But I'm very interested in, cultural explorations. That's a topic you can talk my ear off any day, anytime. So I like to play, where could she be from? Or what's her genetic blueprint? Or what's their genetic blueprint? So when I get the right, I always give myself credit for, okay, you're doing good. But let's start from the beginning. Can you tell us a little bit about your upbringing and early life experiences?
Well, and I want to make sure we make it clear for the guests. So I am American. I was born here, and it's my dad who was born in South America. And that's actually a really big part of my upbringing. So my parents, my mom's a nurse. My dad let's just say he's Guyanese, okay? Because he worked for the government, but then he was also in the reserves, and then he owned his own business. So, that's kind of what they do. They have more than one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And actually, whenever we were growing up, he would always say this skit from Living Colored. And it was like, he only has one job. But that was a big part of my upbringing, and I didn't realize it until I got older. But in 98, we went to Guyana. And they don't have paved roads. They have brownouts, which if you don't know what a brownout is electricity. Electricity is a luxury. And they didn't have a stable grid, so they would just have rolling brownouts. Milk, goes in a refrigerator. So sometimes the milk is going to be warm whenever you're there. I saw animals roaming the streets, and by animals, I mean cows. It was an experience. But another thing with that is they were always happy. Very happy people, but they didn't have McDonald's. How can you be happy without McDonald's? And so I was miserable at the time, but in hindsight, that was a really big thing. I am the third child, which people think that the baby gets everything, but I was just telling them over Easter weekend, being the baby means that you get the leftovers. So I got the hand-me-down pants, but I also learned how to fight for myself too, because I wasn't going to let them run over me. And it also helped me be very observant. Those are kind of the key things I was thinking about as I was reading the questions.
Okay. As someone who grew up in Nigeria and you're talking about your experiences, I'm like, McDonald's, those were the good days. But I'm glad you're able to see, the duality in the experiences you have, because being from Nigeria has really shaped my global perspectives. I feel like I'm more appreciative of the little things, because it's not hard for me to think about how sometimes it's not easy back home for most people. So I got to be very thankful for the little I have. And so for those who are wanting to practice more gratitude, travel around the world more, you would have more cause to be thankful for whatever little you have. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, so, and actually you saying that, so travel the world more. Because whenever I was in college, I also got to study abroad, and I studied abroad to London for a month. And so I'm an Oklahoma native, right? And so you have to drive everywhere. And being in London, realizing the freedom of public transportation, just different places you go and you just get different things. And you're like, you know what? This is not the only way to live.
Yeah.
I'd be interested in going to Nigeria. I'd have to go back with you though, but
Just let me know when. With or without me, you will have fun. Because I mean, that's my base. I thrive in that atmosphere way more. So let me know whenever you're ready. We can make a trip out of it, and I can put you in great hands. It's a wonderful experience all through and through. Highly recommend.
okay.
So,
Yeah.
thank you. Thanks for sharing your background. So your mom being a nurse and your dad, being an entrepreneur. I can definitely see how your mom's story probably impacted your journey. But can you just tell me a little bit about your background in nursing, especially what you do in direct patient care and educating future nurses? Yeah.
So I would actually say that I didn't want to be a nurse, which, so my mom was a nurse and then my grandma was a nurse, not her mom, but my dad's mom.
Oh,
so
nice.
I'm a third generation nurse, but I didn't want to be one. I wanted to get into sports. I love football. I was going to be a sports trainer. And I don't remember which team. I wasn't going to go work for a professional team. I was going to go work for OU because not only do I like sports, but I like OU sports. Like every football game, I'm celebrating every touchdown, which, that's 10-year-old me, 15-year-old me looking at it. And see, what had happened was I applied to go to OU and they wanted to give me like this much money. And I applied to go to OCU and they wanted to give me a full scholarship. Well, I'm not going to turn down a full scholarship, especially to a private university. So I go to this private university that is probably graduating 2,000 people total per year, including graduate studies. They don't have sports training degrees. So, well, what's next? Nursing. Okay, here we go. Get into nursing, get to my first rotation, my first clinical. I mean, I remember my patient that I still did my care plan on, and I remember doing my assessment, and I remember thinking, this is it. Like, why would I ever want to do something else? It was such a high. You get to be with people, you get to help make them better, you get to pour yourself into something, and I think it's the most beautiful profession.
Well, that's amazing. I guess if I could tease one thing from your story is how there was a path you had, and then you just being flexible enough to see, okay, I might not be able to do sports training, but then here's nothing, here's another path. But how has that been like for you, especially the people? Plus, you've also transitioned to teaching a lot more, I imagine. What were some of the adjustments you had to make internally to make way for this new path that was in front of you?
Yeah. And, well, remember, I'm the third child. So part of being the third child is being flexible because you're just going to go where your older siblings go. But how did I get to being a professor? Well, we actually call my dad a professor. That was like his nickname growing up. So, and they say that we're just alike. I like to say I'm funnier, but then if you ask him independently, he says he's funnier than me. So, how did I get into being a professor was I looked forward to having students every time they came. So students do clinicals. And they would come to my unit, and I would want the students from 7 to 3, so 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. And then I would want the students that came after. And for my nursing friends and colleagues that are watching this, and for nursing students, there's a lot of nurses who don't want students, and they'll leave them at the desk, and they'll go out and do things without them. But, oh no, if you're my student, you're coming with me. You're going to feel this fundus. We're going to talk about this disease process and to see the light bulbs go off. And so then I got to the point where students knew who I was, or the professor knew who I was. And they were like, okay, we're going to put a student with you. And then they would get to the point, I'm going to say this for my ego. They got to the point where they were fighting over me. Like, I want to be with her. Well, I want you to be with me. Let's go. Let's do something. And so, funny enough, because remember, I never went to OU, but it was my lifelong dream to go to OU. So one day I get a phone call from an old coworker, and she's like, hey, you should be an adjunct teacher. I know you really like it. Okay, I'm gonna do it. And she said I should do it at OU. So I got my resume ready, for OU because that was the only place that was going to do it for me. And got my resume ready, interviewed. And he said, "Hey, you don't have your master's." Well, but my resume was already ready, and other schools asked me if I wanted to be an adjunct. So I just applied to another school. And, I still had a desire to one day be a nurse. I just thought it was going to be later in life. So still kind of on this path, but this is how the stars are aligning. And I'm going to tell you, I'm a praying person. So I'm also going to throw out, this is how my prayers were answered. So fill out my resume, go to this other school. And then I do that for a year. And then the person who said, "Hey, you should be an adjunct," said, "Hey, I'm moving off this team, going to another team. You should take my spot on this team, but you're going to have your master's to do it." I said, "Okay." And I didn't need to have my full master's. I just need to have 6 hours in. So I get my 6 hours in, I apply for the job, and I get the job. I do that for a year, and I would say that was one of the best experiences working at a community college because it was a team atmosphere, and they really took me under their wing. But community colleges, what you learn isn't always, I want to say this very carefully, it's not always, they don't have the financial capacity to pay you. And also whenever you're signing short contracts, so I was signing a 9-month contract and I got paid for 9 months and I needed a 12-month contract. Come to OU to work in my degree that I had at the time, which was a BSN, worked in that capacity until I finished my master's degree, and then I became faculty whenever I finished my master's.
Wow. Well, kudos to you for sticking it out. And I think that's a lesson in resilience and just never giving up. And here you are today. There's definitely a lot to unpack from there. So you talked about your reluctance towards nursing, but it seems like you've embraced it now, and that's good. Who would you say have been your heroes or people that have been most influential in shaping your career path? Now, apart from the strong line of matriarchy that you come from, are there other influential figures that whose paths you admire, and what would you say are those traits or qualities that you admire in them that have left a lasting career impact on your career?
Yeah. And I do have to give honor to my mom because I called her after every shift, and now I would say it was a debriefing session. So, "Hey, Mom, this is how my shift went. This is what I was doing." And then, getting feedback. So I had that. But I think I am pretty good at reading people, and I'm pretty good, like, I know who I am and I know what I need. And so Linda, whenever I was at OSU OKC, Miss Linda, she took me under her wing, and I was studying in school and we were doing some of the things that I was studying, and she'd be like, "Okay, this is a point by serial, and this is how we look at this, and this is how you see the difficulty level of a question, and this is what you should do." So that was an influence. But then I also had some coworkers, and I can read people. Like, "I like the way you do that. I like the energy you bring." So talking to them about that. When it comes to simulation, we also had a wonderful simulation specialist. And that's kind of the pathway that I took. And she also took me under the wing. And I'm going to tell you this. This is how it works whenever you're around me. You may not want to be my mentor, but you're going to be. If I see something in you that I like, I'm going to emulate it and we're going to talk about it. So even now, I'm still gathering mentors. So there's a person in Tulsa who's really big into leadership. And we have no reason to talk, but I requested a Zoom meeting just so I can talk to her. Our finance guy found out that he's really big into leadership. I just talked to him the other day, like, "Hey, how much of your leadership style is textbook evidence-based? How much of your style is intuition?" Talk to my academic affairs dean. I mean, I'm going to talk to you. If I see it, I'm going to talk to you. So long answer there. Short answer is everyone influences me. I mean, let me tell you, even whenever we met, like, I heard you and I heard the things that you said and I heard the things that Darcy said. And I'm very present. I take from people what I need.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you for, I guess, highlighting the importance of being a lifelong learner. Like you're able to learn from everybody and at any time and taking what you can along the
Mhm.
way. I think that makes for a very well-rounded life. Now, my next question for you will be this. So you've, nursing and now you've pivoted or maybe you're tagging onto executive leadership. And congrats on that, by the way. What inspired you to pursue that line of inquiry and how do you envision this influencing your role as a nurse educator?
So I could lie to you, but that's not who I am. And as part of my journey, I've realized I'm an authentic leader, which means that truth is coming your way. So yeah, I was tired after my MSN. I just wanted to be
Mm,
done. But I also wanted to work for the University of Oklahoma, and they have requirements and standards. And part of that is getting your terminal degree, which
mhm.
actually I'm thankful for that push. So a couple of things. I didn't go to the university where I worked for a lot of different reasons. One, I learned here for free, so I'm not going to pay for it. And second, they didn't accept my master's, so I'd have to start at a bachelor's level. And Ohio State did. But then there's also, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it all the way. And the Ohio State, I'm indoctrinated now. I have like given in. It's the Ohio State is number 11 ranked program in the nation. So I was looking there. I was looking at Johns Hopkins. I was going to do it. So I had extrinsic motivating factors, which was OU telling me I had to get it. But my intrinsic factor of like, hey, do I want it? I want to go to the best place that I possibly can. And also, I could have chosen to go more into D&P and education. There's something about leadership that called to me. I've been a really great follower for a long time, and I've learned some lessons in that. And now I'm ready to take the lead. I see how things could be done different. I do have a nursing background, but I also took a lot of mass communication classes. And I never worked in the hospital until I graduated. So I have a lot of retail experience and business experience and things like that. And so I'm able to come into the nursing world, see things different, give a different perspective. And I'm just ready to own that and be that. The Ohio State's helping me get there.
That is great. So how much longer do you have in your program?
I have 2 more years.
Okay.
I think it actually is important to show those emotions and these experiences because people might think that it's easy. It's not easy. You're paying some sweat equity in this. You're paying some time equity. You're paying some tear equity. You're paying stress equity. A lot of things. And so, if you're going to come on the path and be like me, be like you, I think a PhD is a little bit more intense.
Yeah.
Just know that you're going to have to pay and you're going to have to work for it. But I'm coming out changed, so it's worth it.
Right. So, I think this would be a very appropriate question to ask you because this was one of the platforms where we met. So we met as co-panelists on a Black graduate student, Black student
Mm-hmm.
affairs panelist on inclusivity and working in an OU environment and how do we basically do the things we do. So I'm curious to know, can you share your experiences and challenges of being what you term a minority in a predominantly white academic and research environment?
So everything is going to have a long answer with me, but that's like part of my top 5 strengths from Gallup is context. So I have to give context to this because I went to a high school that was 60% Black. And I really got to see Black excellence there. And actually, one of the people that I know, like I could call her by her first name, just got CNO, named CNO at the Stevenson Center here on campus, right? So I have a very strong foundation of Black excellence. And so I think that makes it a little bit easier to be a minority because they're not going to tell me who I am. I know who I am. And so that might be a little bit different than others who come. I was very fortunate whenever I started. I had someone take me under their wing and they like introduced me to everyone and they leveraged their relationship to help further my career. And so now I am told that I am seen in high regard. And I think that comes from having someone take me around. And I know that that's unique because I know other people who work here who don't have that perspective, and it is very hard. I don't, and I'm happy to share my path. I just don't know if it's realistic for most. And then also I'll have to, you said, however I see diversity, I also am coming to terms with the fact that I'm neurodivergent. And that too is a whole different type of minority. Maybe we're the majority. I can't wait to figure out. But like navigating how to work that space with people and mimicking people and like, hey, you like this personality? Great, because it's just for you. And so I'm really good at matching people where they are. And I think that can make me a little bit less of a threat. But circling back to knowing who I am, at some point, I kind of don't care because I realize the excellence that I'm bringing. Being an academic, I realize that I'm bringing you evidence, so you can argue with me if you want to, but this is the person who's published on it, and those are the words that I'm speaking. So that too kind of removes me from that. Like, it's not a personal attack because I just did my lit review, I just did my scope review, and I'm just telling you what the review said. But if I may, I know this is your podcast. How do you feel? Because you said you came from Nigeria, which is in Nigeria. What's the demographic there?
Oh wait, you're turning the question back to me as a podcast host?
Yeah, and
no one has ever done that. How dare you, Darbi? Just kidding.
Here we go.
My experience, so you want me to answer the question I asked you?
Well, go ahead and answer mine because I'm leading you somewhere.
Okay.
What were the demographics of where you lived?
Oh, in Nigeria?
Uh-huh.
Mostly Nigerians, but then we don't go by race, we go by tribes, right?
Right.
So I lived in Lagos, which is what they call a no man's land. Sorry. You can liken it to New York City, where people it's a metropolitan city, a lot of opportunities. So even the original Lagosians feel a little bit outnumbered because it's everybody, So it was I grew up with diverse people, but we're all Nigerians, if that makes sense. And we also had a lot of foreigners living amongst us. So yeah.
It does, because here's my next question. Did you see yourself represented a lot in higher places whenever you were younger?
Oh, yes, I did. I mean, well, my country has an issue with certain demographic groups. Like, so when you talk about positions, we're looking at leadership, like maybe the presidency and the cabinet, advisors. There weren't a lot of women. But that has changed in recent years because we're seeing a lot of women, picking up. And again, my culture, in my country, patriarchy was way more prominent. Now we're giving more ways to have women express themselves. But growing up, it wasn't that way. You, as a woman, you had to be in home, be in the kitchen, don't aspire for a lot. But then that has changed a lot over the years. So as time went on, I started seeing a lot of my heroes, as it were. But my mom was like the very first person who told me I could do anything I wanted to do. She was different for her time, even though she couldn't achieve a lot of stuff because of the challenges that I conferred upon her as someone growing up in Nigeria. And she also studied civil engineering, which was very unheard of for females then. So she was someone she also has a very quiet personality, but she's very strong. So I'm like the opposite of her because I'm almost like her wildest dreams come true. So, yeah. I don't know if I'm sharing a lot about myself on this podcast, but this is good. Yeah. So I didn't have a lot of people around me. My mom was, more than enough to help amplify those dreams that I wanted.
Yeah. You had support. Well, and
I did.
The reason why I asked that, you're very successful.
Thank you.
And whenever we talked, you're also very confident seeming in who you are. And I think that backgrounds matter. And,
it does.
So for me, you're talking about tribes, which I had known about Nigerian tribes because I'm familiar with that culture in a sense. But I grew up in two cultures. So my mom's American and my dad's Guyanese.
Guyanese, yeah.
And so some of the questions that he would have would be very interesting to me because he's Black appearing, but he's a different culture. And your background makes a huge difference. I'm telling you, growing up in a high school where it's 60% Black, and then my sister's a chemical engineer. So many came before me, so it's a lot easier for me to do these things. No, I've forgot the question. We've gone all around.
Oh no, it's just talking about your experiences in OU so far. But I think it's very personalized and layered. I think if I could take from what you've talked about is you've had people who have mirrored that for you, and they've served as an anchor. And I imagine whenever you've had challenges, knowing that you have that community of supporters has been very instrumental for you.
Yeah. Okay. So yes, that is where I was.
Mm-hmm. I could because
I'm able to see externally from here. This is not where I'm held. This is just a place where I go.
Yeah. And I think that's something we can leave with the listeners, especially those who feel like they might not be well represented. Because I believe in representation. Now, I know that is very, very difficult to always have representation because you might be Black looking, but your experiences might be similar to somebody else, maybe in how you perceive information or maybe some otherness you bring, So I think you knowing that you might not have someone who has those exact experiences you're looking for, but that still shouldn't stop you from seeking help and building a community of supporters who might not necessarily look like you, but they might be your strong allies. So that's what I was trying to tease out. And thank you so much, Darbi, for leading us on. So wait, you are a mom as well and a wife, right?
Yes. And actually,
go ahead.
I'm going to tell you, Darcy's my other name. That's what the doctors would call me at the bedside.
So your name is right because it's Darbi C, and then your last name is Crist. And I'm like, wait, is it Darbi or Darcy? And I can see how someone would call you Darcy, but I'll call you Darbi because that's what you is your legal name. But how do you balance the demands of being a wife and a mom? And how many kids do you have, by the way, if you're able to share that?
I have 2, and that's it. I have one for each hand. Let me tell you.
How old are they?
8 and 5.
Oh.
I wish I could show you. I
have a 5-year-old.
Oh my goodness. We need to talk. We need to talk more.
Trade war stories, right?
Yes. So my 8-year-old's a boy and my 5-year-old's a girl. So what is
mine is a girl too.
Is she sassy?
Are you kidding me? Have you met her? She's like me on an ultra wavelength. I'm like, I need help to just I tell myself I'm raising a world leader, and that's my calling in life. She's changed me a lot. My leadership style, because she's very assertive. She knows what she wants, and she's a strong advocate for even her friends. And I'm like, where does she learn that from? So I came into myself later in life. At 5, what she knows right now, I'm like, wow, the world isn't ready for this girl. She's gonna change the world.
But this is a lesson, because raising a world leader means that you're dealing with a world leader that's 5 and has the reasoning of a 5-year-old.
I know.
But they're stubborn. Okay. And we are in this wave of gentle parenting.
Yeah, we can't do it the Nigerian way or the African way, because
Oh, girl, or the Black American way. That's how I was raised.
No, God.
But let me tell you, you have to do things very purposeful. And I just finished this. I didn't quite finish it, but I've really gotten what I need from it. Leaders eat last. You have to be very intentional. And this is the season that I am in, is where am I focusing my time? Because honestly, this is a job. They will replace me tomorrow. Maybe not tomorrow, because getting hired onto a university takes forever. But they'll start the interview process next week for sure, right? And you can't replace your family. And you can't be replaced at who you are in the family. So what I'm trying to do now is teach in the intersessions, space out my time. So during the semesters like this semester, I really have a whole day off that belongs to nobody, which is a beautiful thing. It belongs to me. I have just decided that I should really start doing the dishes more. And that's where I am in my journey. So I lost myself. And I lost myself. I don't know if it's trying to prove something to someone, but just trying to keep up with the rat race. And I'm telling you, it's not worth it. Hanging out with my kids and going on a walk and watching them ride a bike and hearing their stories. Because, Mo, what does your daughter call you?
Mommy, Mama, if she wants something.
Right? But whenever my daughter says, "Mommy,"
Oh yeah, oh yeah, 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 yeah. You like just take everything, take the kingdom. He has the key to the kingdom. Just have it.
yes.
Yeah.
Um, see, I'm telling you, I'm also in this journey of spiritual because you say here's the keys to the kingdom. I don't know if I can say this on your podcast. But I really want to say, well, that's the Bible. That's the keys to the kingdom.
Yeah.
Or my son's getting a sense of humor, so he'll say like knock knock,
Who's there?
boo, and, boo,
Yeah.
and like just try and teach him how to do it. But if you let a job swallow you, if you let it take your whole bandwidth, you're going to be so irritable whenever you come home because they're just getting your leftovers. So I'm actually I'm trying to give them my best, and it's not just like I decided yesterday. It's like I decided a month ago, and we're going back and forth and back and forth.
Yeah.
But being where I want to put my intention and making moves to protect that.
I mean, that's so spot on. And we've had a lot of parents come through the podcast. I mean, we haven't had a lot of guests because we just started. But I think there's a thread of commonality here in the sense that academia is quite stressful, and being intentional about parenting is also another beast. And sometimes those two things might be in conflict, but you have to be super intentional as a parent, doing the work we do, not to come home and be irritable. Because I know for me, grant writing season is when I'm super touchy. But I also have to remember that this is their first time with everything as well. And they grow up so fast, and yeah, you get that grant or whatever, but then the time you're supposed to spend with your children, just prioritize that. So yeah, I'm learning a lot, and I think even through these responses I'm getting from parents, is also encouraging me that this is a path. Like prioritize your family first, and every other thing will fall into place. And thank you for adding to that conversation. We're rounding off soon, but I had some other burning questions for you. So your work in the classroom, I can tell you're very passionate about what you do. How do you foresee the future of healthcare being, especially with what you do as a nurse educator? Now we're talking about emerging technologies. How do you see that future changing potentially, the landscape of that changing potentially?
I think healthcare is going to change a lot, and I think it's going to change a lot because of nursing specifically. I think whenever you look at nursing, I was just talking to a colleague about this. Like nursing might be old. It's like we have midwives and things like that. They've been around. But like the licensure of nursing is new. And I would say like the identity of nursing is just, it's still in its becoming phase. We don't know where nurses are going to land. So I think that's changing the landscape of medicine. If I can say something bold, I don't think that medicine is difficult. I think it's complex, and that might sound similar, but it's different. And so if it's one of those complex things and not difficult, then maybe the schooling of a nurse can catch up with that. There's that aspect, but whenever you're looking at technology, so I teach in simulation mostly. That's what I've been very passionate about. And so even the technologies in simulation are becoming more advanced, and we're able to simulate so much. We're able to get these hands-on touching sessions without harming a patient. And where does that go? I kind of hate to put a limit on it. This is one of the things, I have sayings for everything. And this is my saying. We went to the moon in 1969. We can do anything. It just might not be tomorrow. It might take a couple years for us to get there, but
yeah,
we can do anything. So why limit ourselves?
Yeah.
I think it's going to get transformed to the loudest voice. So whoever's the most interested in it, we'll find them.
Yeah. Thank you. And then in your role as an instructor in the classroom, I'm imagine you've encountered a diverse range of students. How do you ensure that welcoming environment for students who might be from various cultural backgrounds and experiences within your classroom?
So this is kind of what I did whenever I was at the bedside too. Like if I know that you're from somewhere, I want to teach me your word. I know how to say like marhaba and like things like that. And I'm like Sheila, like pick me up, and Arabic, and then I'd ask, and I had a lot of Arabic patients, so I was able to like really hone in on that. And then, like if they were Asian, like tell me about your culture, because you know what, people actually like to talk about themselves, and you just let them talk about themselves. And so you just ask questions, and then I do that. But also, anytime you have an interaction with someone, that's a chance to be open. So I don't know how much interaction you have with students.
I do. Like 20% of my time is spent in the classroom.
Okay, well, you know, students can come in hot,
Oh,
but
yeah.
they're stressed.
Tell me about it.
They will tell you how they feel, and they will tell you what you did wrong and all these things. And I was just hit them with a, well, thank you for that. And if it's something that gets like really like they're getting into the weeds of it, oh my gosh, thank you. I won't say, oh my gosh, in an email, but thank you for that feedback. I love your attention to detail. That is going to be great for you when it comes to nursing. We need nurses who are so detail oriented. I can see where, you know, and then you acknowledge them. I see where you can see that. And then if I need to turn them, I'm going to turn them, but I'm open to them being right. Like I'm not God, I'm a person, right? And that's another thing as well. That's how I connect with them. I connect with them as a human because that's what I am first. And that's what I think that's what we have to do for everybody. Hey, I'm a human. I make mistakes. And then I'm going to mirror to you how it looks to get out of this mistake. I'm going to own it and I'm going to change it. And I'm going to let you know that your feedback was valuable. You continue to do that. You do that with enough people and then it gets around because they talk. And they have their little group
Groups,
chat.
Yeah. And their Discord servers, yeah, WhatsApp groups and all that. Yeah.
Yep. And so I now get emails from people that are really frivolous. And I'm like, why did you email me this? But you know what I say? I say they see me as a safe space. They see that they can ask, they think that they can ask me without getting being reprimanded. So I just say, you know, once again, thank you. And thank you for letting him be that safe space. But you have to always be safe.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. I mean, that speaks on continuous improvement all around. Now, as you go, if you could put in like, you know, a few words, what would you want people to tease out from your life experiences and stories so far? What would you like to leave with the listeners?
And I'll tell you, because were we supposed to have an hour session and then because if you, I don't know if you've gotten enough. If you've got enough, that's fine. I'm fine with another 30 minutes.
We can always bring you back. I just wanted to honor your time.
Okay.
But that's fine. Yeah.
Oh, this was the only thing. This was my day. Okay, thank you. I'm gonna accept that. Actually, just show up where you are and as you are, and God, I think one of my biggest life lessons is you can put things on pedestals, but whenever you get there, don't. How do I say this? I almost wish I could like just touch everybody and then like it could be transferred. But I've gotten some accolades in my life. I've done some things that people were like, man, if I win that, then I'm going to feel this way. Like I'm going to feel like I've proved myself. If you want to feel like you proved yourself, you got to start feeling it now. You got to just be it now. So won something earlier in my life and I wasn't changed. I didn't wake up the next day like, yes, I got it. I feel better. Got my master's, got my job at OU and kind of the same thing. Like you can't hide from the person that you are. And if you're in trouble, if you're in a deep spot, you got to sit and you got to think about the person that you are. And that's what you improve. And a degree is not going to improve you. Well, actually, I do hope a degree improves you. But a title is not going to improve how you feel, all those things. It's an inside job. And so work on yourself.
I like that. I think it goes back to what was it Michael Jackson, Man in the Mirror, right? If you want to change the world, you got to change yourself first.
I know that we are living in 2024 And we are really looking at people's actions and judging them off of that. But I did not grow up in 2024. I grew up in the 90s. And Michael Jackson is it. And man in the mirror, right? I'm asking him to change his ways. He was right.
Yeah. Thank you. So I began doing something not too long ago where I would have my last guest leave a question for my next guest.
Uh-oh.
So wait, you haven't even heard it first. So you will have to leave a question for the next guest. And so let's start with that question. What question would you like to leave for the next guest? And I would pull out the question that was left for you by the previous guest.
Well, I have two because I will have two. The first one that pops up in my head is, who are you?
Who are you?
But I think that's kind of a rhetorical question. That's like maybe not answer it, but not how do you describe yourself, but who are you, right? But what question? Do I get to have like a topic? Like, where do they work?
Where do they work?
Yeah.
So like do you think that's broad enough for you?
No. Like because I need a specific. I don't.
No, it could be anything though. It could be anything. Okay, you know what? Let me make this easier for you. How about I ask you the question that was left behind by the other guest, right?
Yeah.
So the other guest wants to know, how do we create and foster more multidisciplinary research? And this is from Dr. Finel, from Public Health. Yeah. How do we foster more multidisciplinary research?
Oh man, we got to talk to each other, right? You talked about technology earlier.
Yeah.
I was listening to a podcast, ironically, and we say that they were saying that technology doesn't connect more people. It's a communication tool. And true communication, or maybe this was the book, true communication is getting out and being a tribe. And if you want more multidisciplinary research, then look at the man in the mirror and go out and do it. Go talk to them. Like, Mo, let's do something. Like, what are you interested in? I'm sure we can find something. Let's, get a scope review, a lit review going, and let's just put something beautiful out there.
Yeah. Amazing. Last but not the least, I was doing some background check on you before I brought you on the podcast, because I do a little bit of research on the guest beforehand to see what additional questions I could ask and things like that. And I saw that you won a pageant title many years ago.
That's
I did not know that about you. I'm like, that is so cute.
There's my photo like that.
Well, congrats on that. What are some other amazing fun facts about you?
Well, see, that's what I was talking about. Like, I won the pageant, right? And it didn't change the person that I was. I don't know.
In a good way, I hope.
Oh, just like it made me realize that it's an inside job.
Oh yeah,
that was like, everyone wants to win not everyone, but a lot of people want to win a pageant and they want that title and honor. But you got to work on yourself if you want to feel better. I really do feel like I have a lot of unique experiences. I've just had fun. I just kind of go, I pray and go where I'm led. I have my question though.
Oh, so the first one I put down was, who are you and who are you truly? And then you had another one. What was it going to be?
Mm-hmm. What impact do you want to have for this world?
Okay. Mm-hmm. What impact do you want to have on this world? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I do have some more. I have a lot of fun. See, I just have a unique life. Like, I play the organ. I play the organ at my church. I played piano since I was 8. I played cello, or it's been a while, but I can play some chords on guitar. I'm just out here living, Mo.
Do you sing as well?
Oh, in the shower, like the rest of us.
Shower records.
For sure. Shower records, yes.
Anyways, Darbi, it's been a treat having you on the podcast, getting to know about you and just your dedication to nursing education and advocacy, and also the importance of inclusivity and personal development. And I hope that our listeners today have found those gems as well to be very, very useful. And yeah, let's keep exploring these diverse perspectives and ideas that shapes the world around us. Don't
Yeah.
forget to subscribe and rate the podcast on your preferred podcast platform. Until next time, remember to stay curious and keep growing, everyone. Thank you for joining us on this journey. Goodbye for now. All right, Darbi.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye.